Hi everybody, Geraldine Rose here. I am trying out another design from the products from the Secret Garden release again this year. This was my first time trying out the Canvas Blossom stencil set. It was another of the product from the All New Secret Garden kit that I got a little bit earlier. The two retreats, the Secret Garden in the spring and the Cozy Comfort in the fall, are some of the very few items that I set money aside for now for crafty supplies. And that's because I'm on a very limited retirement income. It's a good thing we stocked up while we could all those other years. And I know you girls all know this because you're probably looking around your craft room and wondering how much money that you've got stockpiled in there too. And how much of it do we use? So this is why I'm making the effort to get in and use this Canvas Blossoms and the other product that was in there and send out cards. And this one's going to be a thank you card because, hey, we can always use thank you cards. So for this stencil, it's like a 6-layer set. And I took inspiration from Yanis Makula's class, where she extended the stencil across the back of the card. And I went, that is a really neat effect. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do my own version on this. I also wanted to use the colors from one of the Instagram hops. It was for the Color Cubes hop, which are the Sarah Renee Clark color cubes. And I've got the whole set for that. I'm like, you got them. You might as well be using those as well. I think also this might qualify for the Inspiration Challenge this month for Alt New, but I've got to go check further on that. The colors are pretty close. So what we did was we got the grippy mat out. We started out with the main stencil in the middle. I'm just getting used to it and how everything kind of layers together. And I'm just going through it in turn, starting out with my lighter tones for the larger stencil blockings. And then as we move towards the more detailed portions, I will deepen the colors up. The two tulips up at the top, we're using the darker reds and the darker purple maroon tones that are from this color cube that we had selected. I'm also doing something a little bit different on the rose. You can see with the tulip that I've got the deeper portion of all of the colors that I've stenciled on towards the bottom of the flower. And that's fairly typical to do. You do it towards the bottom or you do it from the middle. But the rose, I did the deeper colors, the darker intensities of each of those color hues around the outside of the flower because I wanted them to look like an old Teresa Bonnier rose with the quartering and the blown petals. And those ones, oh, the fragrance on them is just phenomenal. I had one at my old house. And when we were out walking the hill the other day off of a part that used to be somebody's old homestead, there was actually 2 super old Teresa Bonnier roses there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they actually survived. But anyways, we're digressing. So back to this. I've now moved the stencil over to the back portion of the card. And you can see I'm using little pieces of satin tape to mask off the darker rose that I've got towards the front of the card. This is one strip of Nina Classic Crest, the Solar White, and I didn't score it first because I didn't want the stenciling to hit that bump and then have like a deeper line in the middle. I flipped it over and I took just what was left on the brushes there and put it on the inside of the card. So this is where I'm scoring it. And that's where I realized that I did it on the wrong side. I was like, oops. And so I'm going to try and recover it. I'm going to flip it over and rescore it from this side. And it did work. And we'll get that folded over. I also, you can tell that I redid this. So that first one, I ended up thinking, okay, I'm going to take the darkest rose that was in front and I would fussy cut it out. So I redid the card portion. Now I also die cut out an arch through it. The inside sentiment, I just wanted one little thing. So we have out the tranquil. I can't say that word because I'm so used to having worked at a place called Tranquil Mills, the French pronunciation. Anyways, tranquil greetings and just a little bit of pink tones with a deepening up with the maroon on that. I'm going to take the arch portion that I cut out that was stenciled. I'm running that through the rustic burlap press plate. That's going to give it just a wee little bit of texture because I did it straight against the better press instead of putting it with my embossing mat. You can see this one I used the embossing mat, and this is one of the burlap ones from Honeydew. So that's the one that I used for the rose that I fussy cut out. I also have that arch that I'm using to cover the portion that was die cut out. So I did the two nesting dies up against each other with a little bit of tape, ran them through with some of the dark maroon cardstock, and I did the same on the inside with just a little bit of cream so it covered it from both sides. Now on the inside, the tulips that were left over from that first stenciling that I did, which were really light tone, fussy cut them out, tucked them in there so that we got something covering that side too. Just a last little bit of cleaning up around the edges of that. You can take your pink brushes or your green brushes and brush around it too to take away the white edge on it. And this one I did put up on foam tape because I wanted it to stand up from that card panel. Not too much, like not that I would have to worry about sending it through the mail due to the thickness, but enough that it's going to bring it up closer to your face for a depth perception so that you can see it and then the stencil with the press plate behind it and then farther away the faded out ones in the back. The You Are Truly Treasured is from the Honorable Sentiments. That was one of the sets that we got this year, also in the Secret Garden kit. Die cut it out. Then I blended a little bit of pink along the bottom because it was a different cardstock and it wasn't quite the same white as the Nina. We're setting that into place. The custom stamps going on the back. And I thought, well, this has got something happening on all four sides of this card aspect. So I didn't put too much bling bling on it. So just a little bit of shiny bling bling and the ombre drops. And I did them in like a little bit of a cascade down that right-hand side. And then I brought in a wee titch of solar paste, the pink tones, and I just brushed on the lighter portions of those rose petals just so that when you tilt the card, it gets a wee bit of shine. I thought, okay, we'll just do a little bit of splatter as well, even though it is busy. But I brought out two that we're going to do like the halo ring with the shine. So that is the solar spray in the pink and also the shimmer spray in the red pink. I used the stamp to mask off the sentiment. So that's the finished card. It's going out to a dear friend. It's very traditional for me. I've been told I need to tone my cards down because they're not marketable and nobody else can do them. So I was trying to be normal with this one. Oh, and I did the envelope too. So I only used a couple of the stencil layers so that it didn't have as much of a detail on the front. But you all go be that change you want to see in the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.